The story begins with the retelling of the Great Shark War. 30 years ago, alien creatures invaded the planet and the world was on the brink of destruction until they arrived. Falling from the skies like guardian angels, later known as robos. Although they wiped out the sharks from the planet, they knew they would return one day, hence why the humans and the robos continued to prepare their return. It is the year 2075 and humans continue to train pilots to prepare for when sharks do return. Stanford U is a custodian at the Sky Corps military base in Arizona. Sergeant Stanchi informs General Park that new mech robos have finally arrived. General Park worries that only 2 robos are sent in over a year. Having said that, he orders to shut down the global defense ring to allow entry for the incoming robos and alert everyone of their presence. Stanford feels discouraged after having failed the cadet screening test. His mom tries to comfort him, but he explains how he always wanted to become a pilot, as he promised his late father. In an effort to cheer him up, his mother reveals that she overheard Chief Max at the cafeteria and believes that Stanford may have gotten the engineering internship. Despite the good news, Stanford doesn't look too thrilled about it, as it is nowhere near being a pilot. Sergeant Stanchi and General Park talk to the trainees and inform them that selection process would be scored and they would be ranked. Having said that, the robos themselves will evaluate their performance and choose which one they will bond with. General Park later talks to trainee Olivia, who turns out to be her father. He reminds her what is at stake and tells her that this is her last chance to become a pilot. Feeling the pressure, Olivia lashes out at Stanford, who overhears their conversation. Stanford confronts General Park to ask for an opportunity at pilot selection, but when he learns that Stanford failed the screening test, he brushes him off and walks away. Determined to try out for the selection, Stanford convinces his friend engineering intern Ava Patel to help him steal an exosuit. She tried to talk him out of it, but he wouldn't listen. He managed to get one, but was quickly discovered by Olivia when she saw him on the lineup. Sergeant Stanchi explains that breaking into the briefing room and stealing an exosuit are significant offenses. He reprimands him and then escorted by the MPs off campus pending review. The selection process continued with a mock battle between trainees and a simulated combat. Olivia Park came up first and Maya Sanchez and Franco Livetti in second and third place respectively. The red robo chose Maya to bond with and named it the Big Red, while the green robo chose Frank and called it the Thunder Wrecker. Meanwhile, Stanford rides off campus after the incident when he notices an unidentified flying object. He quickly drives to where it crashed to discover that it was another robo. He later realized that not only was it a robo, but there was also a shark. When the unknown robo saw Stanford risked his life to help it, he offered to bond with him, which he later named Buddy. The shark climbs back up, bigger and meaner than it originally was. Buddy tries to hold his own against the giant shark, but is losing his grip when Captain Tanaka and his robo show up. He tried to hack at it with his sword, but its armor was too thick. But he managed to eventually defeat it. When Tanaka says they must return to campus, Stanford is confused as he clearly remembers being kicked off base. After confirming that Buddy has bonded with Stanford, Tanaka tells him that they will never understand how robos choose to bond with, but despite that, that bond can't be broken. Having said that, he informs Stanford that he is a mech cadet now. Tanaka informs Maya and Frank that Stanford will become part of the team, having already bonded with his robo. He tells them that tomorrow will be their first day of cadet training, so he orders them to help Stanford bring Buddy to the docks and rest up. Olivia later shows up at the docks where she criticizes Stanford, but despite her objections, he is already a mech cadet, having been chosen by Buddy. Before returning to the dorm, Stanford confronts his mother and tells her he is a pilot after having found Buddy. His mom explains how she just wanted him to be safe, especially after his father died. Later, Olivia complains to her father, explaining that Stanford becoming a pilot is unfair. Tanaka interrupts their conversation and gives the general his report. He describes how he found a shark at the crash site and suspects it must have gotten through when the global defense ring was down. He thinks this particular shark was different, given that its armor was harder, and believes it may have evolved. He suspects that the sharks may be back, but the general stops him and orders a global scan for any breaches just to be safe. The next day, their first training day, is a race to the finish line to help them get acquainted with flying in their robos. Captain Tanaka hands them their exosuits and tells them that the Nexus link is how they connect with the robos. He explains that with it, the robos will know their thoughts and their training while they feel their pain. As they race through the desert, Stanford shows off and loses control when he loses focus, to which he almost crashes. Because of this, Tanaka discovers what looks like shark eggs and brings them back to the base to be studied. General Park later meets with Olivia, and after having been shown her determination to become a pilot, he shows her Hero Force 1. He worries that robos choosing their pilots, especially an untrained cadet, was unreasonable, so he has secretly worked on the Hero Force program for years. Equipped with Atlas, missiles, and Z-Series railgun, he explains that the Hero Force unit is their last attempt to protect the world. He claims their duty is to save humanity no matter the cost. Although Olivia may be the best in the academy, but this prototype has never been flown, he worries that it may be difficult and possibly dangerous. But Olivia quickly accepts his proposal to become the official pilot of Hero Force 1. After studying the samples Tanaka brought back, Chief Scientist Miller discovers minerals not found in previous shargs. He confirms Tanaka's suspicions that the shargs may have evolved. After cross-referencing the data, Miller suspects this composition is identical to Mars. When General Park ordered it destroyed, Miller tried to convince him to postpone it so he could further study it, but was denied. After reviewing the Mars rover feed, they discover that a massive shark is on Mars. The cadets show up and Chief Max explains that since robos don't come with weapons, they have to fashion it themselves. They gave Big Red a spear, Thunder Wrecker twin tonfas, and Buddy with punching gloves. The other cadets are confused about how Olivia is now a pilot when there is no new reported robo, but Hero Force shows up out of nowhere and they are speechless. Everyone was shocked to discover a man-made robo and wondered how it would fare against the mech robos. On the way to an open desert, Tanaka notices that Hero Force is low on power and orders everyone to land. Their second training day begins. This time, they will be combat training to familiarize themselves with their new weapons. Everyone did well. Even Olivia effortlessly shot down Tanaka's drones. For the second part of their training, they will be against Captain Tanaka to capture his flag. While everyone else struggled, Maya jumped on the captain and took whatever it did to win the battle. For the final part of the day's training, Captain Tanaka will shoot at them with his drones while they're trying to capture his flag. He tells them he respects Maya for winning earlier, but they must show teamwork this time. He explains that a war is coming and war requires selfless commitment. He claims that sacrifices will be made, whether big or small. Before they start, Stanford suggests using Maya as a diversion, while everyone else gets the jump on the captain, but Maya refuses. With their attempts at teamwork down the drain, they try to beat the captain individually, but fail, where even Maya loses. Unable to accept defeat, Maya risks breaking one of Big Red's arms to grab the flag as she ejected herself. Although she did win, she almost died when debris collapsed, and Big Red had to save her. After training, Maya is scolded by Chief Max for her recklessness, to which Frank later confronts her. Olivia reports back to the General about the issues on Hero Force, to which he responds by saying that all the Academy's resources are at her disposal. Stanford complains to Ava about how the others don't listen to him. Ava reminisces about how they used to bring back stuff to his father's shop to fix when they were kids, and wonders if they will ever return to their dream of reopening his father's shop one day. The next day, the squad leaders worldwide discussed their concerns on Mars. After finally getting a clear image, they were shocked to find a shark ship, to which General Park confirmed they had returned. Back in the lab, Dr. Miller refuses to follow General Park's orders to destroy the eggs after discussing the potential weaponization of the research with General Felix, who tells him to carry on with it. Out of nowhere, one of the eggs hatches and escapes incubation. When Dr. Miller searches for it, it suddenly jumps and attacks him. Stanford's mom, Dolly, was cleaning the hall when she chased a rat back to the lab. When she got inside, she discovered the mess after the hatching shark killed Dr. Miller and quickly informed the general. Unfortunately for them, the other pilots had been deployed to supervise the upgrade of the global defense ring. General Park explains how he wants their defenses up and running before Captain Tanaka's reconnaissance mission to Mars. Back at the dorm, Stanford struggles to befriend the other pilots who have been together as trainees. Meanwhile, Ava struggles to fix Big Red as she cannot get through the robo's alloy. She quickly sees the Hero Force unit's Skycat laser cutter. She asks if she could borrow them to fix Big Red, but when the men dismiss her, Chief Clark of the Hero Force shows up and pretends to help her out. Chief Max suddenly hands her some bolt cutters, suggesting she break into the case and get it herself. When she finally has the Skycat, she accidentally fires it but notices a hole in the wall, so she decides to check it out. The general makes his way to the lab to check the report and discovers that the eggs are still intact. After finding out that one of the eggs hatched and killed Dr. Miller, he orders Chief Max to lock down the campus to stop it from escaping. Dolly suggests they put the other eggs in the plasma incinerator to destroy them before they hatch. Back at the dorms, a Sharg appears and tries to attack Olivia and Maya. They hide in Stanford's room, but quickly run to his aid when they discover that Frank is against it by himself. After a grueling battle against the Sharg, Frank eventually defeats it. When they thought it was already dead, it tried to attack Maya and Frank. Frank asks Maya to pull his broken prosthetic, which she then uses to kill the Sharg. When the incinerator breaks the lock to the warehouse, it traps the general and Stanford's mom inside, where they later discover that the other eggs have hatched. Worried for his mom, Stanford turns off the lockdown to open the warehouse while he gets on Buddy to defeat one of them. Ava used the Skycat to kill one of them too. The general tried to hold on to the last one, but it eventually escaped outside, burrowing into the ground. After realizing Stanford undid the lockdown and disobeyed orders, General Park expelled him from the academy. Following his sudden expulsion from the academy, Stanford returns home, where his mom welcomes him. Ava is called in by Chief Max, who is bedridden in a hospital after the last Sharg incident at the campus. She gives Ava her keycard with full security access and entrusts the engineering core to her while she recuperates. Meanwhile, Frank is still awaiting word from engineering if they can fix his prosthetic when he blurts out and asks Maya on a date, to which she agrees. Olivia explains how Stanford was expelled from the academy when Adam entered the dorms as his replacement. Maya comforts Frank, who worries that they can be replaced when, out of nowhere, Maya is called in to report for duty. Maya and Big Red will accompany Captain Tanaka and Tombo to hunt the escaped Sharg. They finally track it down and find it has grown in size after consuming anything it comes across. After following its trail, they discover it is headed for the Global Defense Ring Control Center. Tanaka quickly confronts it, but Maya hesitates after her last training ended in breaking her robo's arms. When Tanaka is thrown against a rock and trapped under rubble, he orders Maya to go after the Sharg. She finally musters up the courage to face it head-on, but when she can't break through its hard shell, she uses a soccer kick, which she learned from Frank, to flip it upside down when Captain Tanaka suddenly shows up and stabs it with his sword. Meanwhile, General Park worries about an unnamed robomech, so he asks Ava to install a neural override mod to replace Buddy's Nexus link so others can pilot it. Ava worries that it might damage Buddy's memories, so she asks for time to double check it before installing it in Buddy. It seemingly works when she finally decides to install it. Given that Adam can pilot it now, as they are about to do a test run, Buddy ejects Adam and quickly flies to where Stanford is. Realizing that it is no longer about his dream or his promise to his father, Stanford tells her mother that his responsibility is to protect humanity before Buddy takes Stanford flying. After seeing the mess Frank made preparing for his date, Olivia tells him to stop listening to Adam's advice and be himself, as that was what Maya fell for. When they finally had their date, they just played a quick game of soccer, which, given the impression Maya had, she was having fun. Seeing their plan fail, General Park informs Chief Clark to hold on to all progress on the robomechs and to focus their attention on the Hero Force. He claims it is about time to proceed with Phase 2. When Ava is about to leave the office, he sees the Hero Force unit walking past, looking suspicious, so she follows them to a dark hangar. When she discovers what they are doing, Olivia shows up and tells her she is trespassing. After Olivia catches Ava, she makes an excuse to look for a part to fix Frank's prosthetic. Meanwhile, Stanford has spent the night in Buddy before facing General Park. When morning came, he came to the academy remorseful over disobeying the direct chain of command. He explains how he realized that it was no longer about his dream of becoming a pilot or his promise to his father, but that it was now his responsibility to protect humanity from the Shargs. Under normal circumstances, General Park would not have accepted Stanford, but given that they are facing a war, he needed all the robomechs he could find. In exchange for taking him back, Stanford is on cleanup duty. Stanford returns to the dorms to clean the mess, to which Maya and Frank welcome him back. Olivia and Maya are suddenly asked to report for duty, but instead of going directly, Maya thinks if they help Stanford with cleanup, he could join them for training. Olivia also stayed behind to help. Captain Tanaka shows up looking for the cadets when they don't show up. After hearing what they did, he asks all four to sweep the area for any astray sharks. Given that Maya has experience, she led the team and divided the search area into a grid so each member could sweep an assignment. When nothing came up, Stanford suggested staying late, given that they still had an hour left. They have a bonfire in the desert and talk about how they came to become pilots. Stanford tells them that growing up, he had always dreamt of becoming a pilot, so he promised to become one after his father died. Olivia tells them that since his father is a general, he has always expected her to become one. Maya became a pilot, hoping to have a future with her brother after they lost their parents in the war. And Frank tells them that her mother, a former pilot, suggested he become one. Meanwhile, Ava has been investigating the mod that Clark made for Buddy to replace its Nexus link. She discovers inconsistencies in other Robomech status and decides to confide in Chief Max of her discovery. When Stanford returned to base, Ava asked for his help breaking into a classified room with his access card hack, to which they discovered a Robomech had been taken apart and its power core removed. Stanford and Ava confront Olivia, to which she criticizes them for accusing his father with no proof. She later confronts the general, to which he admits that given what he has seen and lost in the previous war, he's determined to do anything to protect humanity, no matter the cost. Chief Max seeks out Captain Tanaka, who tells him of her discovery. After reviewing Buddy's memory, it's showed that the shark Buddy brought to Earth released the eggs in the atmosphere during descent, which both worry that they are now anywhere on the planet. Just then a shark hatches from an egg and emerges from the ground, which has grown in size after feeding from its surroundings. The alarms go off after detecting a colossal shark headed for the Global Defense Ring, GDR for short, control unit. After getting multiple reports of sharks attacking around the world, they notice the shark ship's movement and confirm that it is headed for Earth. General Park orders Captain Tanaka and his team to stop the shark from destroying the GDR control unit. Despite being cadets in training, they are asked to fight given the circumstances. Stanford gives a great speech about how they are the only ones standing between humanity and the sharks, and how they now have to protect them at all costs. When they come across the massive shark, Captain Tanaka orders them to fire from a distance and distract it while he comes close for the killing shot. Everything was going according to plan when the shark predicted Tanaka and cut off his robo's arm clean off. Despite General Park's orders to return to base, Olivia convinced him to let them continue the fight as they were the only ones left, and requested a medevac for Captain Tanaka. Stanford suggests having Maya go in and pretend to be taken down. When the others have it distracted, Maya will strike it from under where its armor is thinner. They manage to defeat it, but hundreds of smaller sharks emerged from the cut and made their way to the GDR control unit. They tried to shoot them down, but there were too many for them to handle. When Olivia is about to be run down, Stanford comes to his rescue, to which both are shocked at what he did. As a shark was about to reach the control unit, Adam and the other pilots showed up on the Hero Force units and shot the remaining sharks down. Despite the reinforcements, one slipped through and broke the connection to the GDR. Taking in their losses, the cadets return to base with an injured Tanaka. As they slowly pry him out of Tombo, Tanaka sees the Hero Force units and confronts General Park, who he suspects to have killed Robomechs for their power cores. With the GDR down, Tanaka suggests defending the gap in the shield until they get it back online, but when Tombo isn't responding anymore, Olivia heads out in his stead. Olivia flies to outer space to protect the gap on the GDR until it gets back on. General Park orders her to return, explaining that they have not thoroughly tested the Hero Force for atmospheric re-entry. Olivia managed to reach outer space and await on the satellite when she suddenly saw the shark ship from a distance. Meanwhile, General Park orders Maya to protect the north side of the campus while Frank watches out for the south side. Stanford is to escort Ava and her team to get to the GDR back up again, while Chief Max and Captain Tanaka work on Tombo so he can go up and bring back Olivia. He then sends Adam and the other pilots on the Hero Force unit to get Olivia back, but they fail upon re-entry and crash. Olivia comes close to the ship to scout when she realizes it's not a ship, but a giant shark. It suddenly releases thousands of shark eggs towards Earth, and Olivia tries to shoot them down. Some of the shark eggs get stuck on her and start to drain her power core. Maya and Frank arrive just in time before she loses power and tries to get her back before the GDR returns online. Ava confirms fixing the GDR, to which Stanford then quickly flies up to help the others. Maya and the others worry they may not make it before the GDR gets activated, but Stanford uses his powers to teleport them inside. Relieved that they have stopped the worst-case scenario, the giant shark gets close to the satellite and destroys it, opening a gap yet again in the GDR. It then released thousands of eggs bound for Earth, to which the team worries if they can stop it all by themselves. Tanaka confronts General Park, who blames him for leaving Olivia by herself out there. Parks claims that although he has not risked his life fighting on the front lines, he too has made the hardest decisions, as he had to shoulder the fate of the entire world. Their confrontation led to Tanaka leaving the force. Stanford and the others mind the gap, but unless they fix the GDR, they worry they won't be able to hold them off for long. Stanford takes a closer look and suspects that the alignment motor is busted. He explains that he can fix it, but he must be outside of his robomech. While the others worry that he will be defenseless, he claims the others can cover for him while he gets the satellite working again. As they struggle to handle hundreds of them, Olivia suggests they lure them to the side, where the GDR is up to help bridge the difference in numbers. As Tanaka's about to step out, Chief Max finds him and informs him that Tombo is up and running again. She explains that his cadets are out there trying to fight a good fight, and hopes he can help them. General Park then asks him to bring a power core for Olivia's hero force, as he suspects she is already low on power. One of the sharks slipped through and made it to Earth. General Park orders Chief Clark to head to the GDR control unit to defend it, when they later realize it was headed for the campus. Worried that they have no robomechs or weapons to protect themselves, Ava shows up, bringing back the destroyed Hero Force units that attempt space re-entry. Chief Max and Ava intend to salvage working parts to make one Hero Force unit operable. The only problem they have now is that it does not have any weapons when Dolly suggests using a cleaning solution to make a bomb. Adam pilots the Hero Force unit and confronts the shark, but when it tries to swallow it up, Adam ejects and blows up the unit filled with makeshift bombs. Tanaka makes it in time to help the others and gives Olivia a new power core. When Stanford failed to fix the satellite once, he tried again. Suddenly his suit malfunctions and he falls back to Earth when Buddy shows up and catches him. As he fell, he was reminded of when his father told him to never give up. He finally fixes the satellite, and the GDR is back up again. When they were about to return to base, Stanford told them that Buddy believed the ship was the Queen. As the Queen stops attacking to make more eggs, he thinks it is vulnerable and their chance to destroy it. They wondered how, but Tanaka suggested throwing a power core at it and shooting it to trigger a massive explosion to destroy it. Instead of witnessing a massive explosion, a bright light covers the horizon, and when it dissipates, they discover a black hole that briefly opens out of nowhere. Tanaka explains that the power core did not explode, but it imploded, which caused a black hole. Although they knew this was their only chance, they were out of options. Stanford explains he finally understood Buddy's powers, the ability to control gravity. Having said that, he believes that Buddy can hold the black hole long enough for it to suck the Queen into it, to which Tanaka claims he can help it along by pushing it. Everyone else objected to it, but Tanaka claims it is an order, explaining this has been a long time coming. Maya throws the final power core, which Frank shoots at, and while Stanford keeps the black hole open, Tanaka pushes the Queen in. Tanaka goes in, but his thrusters suddenly malfunction, so Olivia goes to do the job instead. They beg her to return, but even Stanford thinks he should close the black hole. Olivia convinces them that this is her big sacrifice, and the black hole closes on them as they go through. The others return to base, where everyone celebrates their win against the shark, but others who truly knew Olivia were mourning her loss. General Park remembers how Olivia once tried to learn skateboarding, and despite falling multiple times, she kept standing back up and never gave up. Tanaka later visits his sister's grave and promises to find Olivia. He later meets with Chief Max to see how the repairs are going on Tombo, when Chief Clark shows up to offer an arm of the Hero Force unit for the missing limb on his robomech. As Stanford, Maya, and Frank are celebrated as heroes, they still can't help but feeling helpless. Leaving their friend behind and unable to do anything, later Ava surprises Stanford with his repaired bike when she reveals that she's not returning to the academy. Although she understood why General Park had to do what he did, she still couldn't accept it. As he and Ava rode out, they came to a fork where they went their separate ways, but not before promising to meet again. Stanford and the others accompany Captain Tanaka on his mission to bring back Olivia. Tanaka tells them that they do not have to do this, but they explain that they are more than a team and more of a family. Out of nowhere, a Hero Force unit shows up, which reveals it is being piloted by General Park, who's intent on accompanying them to find his daughter. Later, Olivia is in a dark, empty room when his unit dissolves without a trace. She later wakes up when the doors suddenly open and a bright light is behind them. Someone walks in, which shocked Olivia given her expression. The end. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap that bell to stay notified about our latest videos. We'll see you next time.